here.
Oh, hi!
Underway.
Didn't see you there. Don't mind me, I'm just building my base on Venus.
Building
You know, we need to get these defenses up, and I'm going to select
Unit
my
complete.
constructor and build a...
Yes,
Le
sir.
Power? So why is it called a Le Power? Is my game in French for some reason and I can't change it back? Well, not so much. You see, L Power actually stands for Lightning Power! Oh shit! Fucking light! Nah, I'm just messing with you, but it's actually kinda true, since it does stand for Lightning Power, which, as the name implies, uses lightning to turn it into power. Somehow, I don't know. That part isn't stated in the canon. You see, the player actually gets a different recycler, which in turn produces a different constructor, depending on the planet that the player is on, as well as the mission. Now, it's important to remember that the player doesn't actually have a choice in what kind of power structure they can build during the mission, but it's also important to notice the different specifications of these buildings. Let's start with my personal favorite, and the largest one, the Lightning Power. This one is found on Venus and sometimes Titan. Like I said, sometimes. The high profile of the actual building makes it pretty easy to target from a distance, but it makes up for this by being the most heavily armored power generator. And if you're wondering, yes, newbies, 4,000 hit points is quite a bit. It's actually over twice the amount of the standard scout. One final little Easter egg about the Lightning Power is that for some unknown reason, it's visible in the intro movie being on the moon. The moon doesn't even have any excitable weather, so there isn't really a purpose to it there. Then again, the intro movie also shows the recycler being a factory, so you see where this is going. Anyway, moving on to the solar power. The solar power existed very early in the game's development phase. You can see a few of them in this screen grab here, as well as a very broken L power next to it. This is from the first Battlezone trailer. The solar power ended up being relatively unchanged in the final release and ended up being the default power plant for every race in the game. Is this a good thing? If you ask me, hell yes. It's large, unwieldy, and incredibly vulnerable, and that is absolutely the point. Every base needs a weakness, and if you give everyone power generators that are way too armored, it takes the fun out of looking for that weakness. Plus, they only cost 4 scrap, and if you ask me, that is an intergalactic bargain. One great feature from the model itself is the deploy animation. It's very well done, and it's even cooler when you watch a bunch of them do it at once. I could watch this all day, but if we watched it all day, we wouldn't be able to get to our next power plant. The Soviet version. That's right, cosmonauts, I did not forget about you. It looks puny upon first glance, but once you put it next to an American solar power, it's not really that small. It also has the same cost and hull, so it's relatively evenly matched to the American solar power. That weird building on the right in the earlier shot is the wind power generator. It's going to be last in this video because it isn't even playable in the campaign. No, I'm serious, the curved dildo over here isn't playable in the campaign at all. You will only encounter these structures on the opposite team. There are certain missions in the NSDF and CCA campaign in which the enemy utilizes wind power. But don't worry, you are not missing out on much. They cost 6 scrap and have barely any hull to show for it. Plus, they don't have any cool animations, so you know. The takeaway is this: all power generators have the same functionality. This is a simple test showing that the power supply distance between all of these buildings is pretty much the same. Different power supplies were likely put in the game to give it more variety, but the player doesn't have the rationale or option to choose one over another. And that is pretty much it on the subject of noticeable differences between power supplies in game. If you notice that my game looks a bit different than the classic Battlezone installation, then you might have been living under a rock for the past few months. It's okay, I don't judge, but Rebellion made a remastered version of Battlezone that I was part of the beta team for, along with some very, very lovely people from the community. I highly recommend you check it out. I will leave a link to the Steam page of it in the description, so you can check that out. I would also like to give a shout out to A. Hadley. He's a personal friend of mine and a fantastic community member. A. Hadley's work on the Battlezone wikia is nothing short of awe-inspiring. If you have information to contribute to the Battlezone wikia, shoot him a PM or, get through to him. Well, I think you know what to do now. Go ahead and smash that like if you liked it, smash that comment if you want to chat, and then smash that subscribe if you want to see more of this.